Everyone brought their most beautiful flower to the square. They all proudly displayed their flowers. Among the colorful, diverse flowers, the king inspected each one carefully. Who would win the competition? In the vast, endless lands of Africa, there was a poor family living in a small and peaceful village. This family had a son named Kwame. Kwame worked very hard with his family to make a living under difficult conditions. Every morning, he would wake up before sunrise, work in the fields, and in the evenings, he would sit around the fire with his family. His family was very close knit, and they were always kind and helpful to those around them. Kwame would help the elderly in the village, carrying water from the stream for them and working in their gardens without ever asking for money. His generosity and kindness were appreciated by many in the village, but some mocked him for it. One day, while Kwame was carrying a heavy water bucket for an elderly woman in the village square, a few young men laughed at him. "Why do you always help others? Take some time for yourself," they said, laughing. Kwame ignored their mocking words and continued his work. The goodness in his heart could not be weakened by such words. One day, the wise and elderly king called his people to the great square. Among the curious crowd waiting to hear what the king had to say was Kwame. The king handed out a flower seed to each young person gathered in the square and said, "As you know, I have neither a son nor a daughter. I am old now. The one who grows the most beautiful flower from these seeds will take my place." Kwame carefully examined the small seed in his hand. From that moment on, everyone in the village made great efforts to plant these seeds and grow the most beautiful flower. Kwame prepared a spot in his garden and planted the seed in the soil. Every morning, he woke up early to water the seed, carefully nourished the soil, and removed the weeds. He had a strong belief in his heart that this seed would grow into a magnificent flower. However, weeks passed and Kwame's seed did not sprout. While the seeds of the other young people began to grow and flourish, there was no movement in Kwame's soil. His neighbors and friends started to mock him. "Kwame, you are so hardworking and kind hearted. But look, you couldn't even make the seed sprout," they said, laughing. Although Kwame was saddened by these words, he did not lose hope and continued to take care of his seed. Months passed, and the king organized a great competition to see the flowers grown by the young people. Everyone brought their most beautiful flower to the square. They proudly displayed their flowers. Among the colorful, diverse flowers, only Kwame stood with an empty pot. Other young people looked at him with pity and tried to demoralize him with mocking words again. Kwame, feeling embarrassed for not fulfilling his task, looked at his empty pot. After inspecting each flower, the king came to Kwame. He looked at the empty pot and took a deep breath. "Kwame," he said, "why did you come with an empty pot?" Kwame lifted his head, looked into the king's eyes, and answered shyly, "My king, no matter what I did, my seed did not grow. I guess I didn't take good care of it. I failed." When the king heard Kwame's response, a slight smile appeared on his face. He raised his voice and said, "Everyone be silent." The crowd, surprised by the king's unexpected outburst, fell silent. "The seeds I gave you were specially prepared not to sprout. My purpose was to test the honesty and patience of the person who would become the leader." The crowd murmured in astonishment at this revelation. The king continued, "As you can see, Kwame has passed this test with his honesty and loyalty. Unlike the others, he came forward bravely without hiding the truth. The most important qualities of a leader are honesty and courage. Kwame has proven to be a great leader, even with this empty pot. True leaders never compromise their integrity. Kwame will be the new leader of this kingdom in my place. The crowd erupted in applause upon hearing the king's words. Kwame stood beside the king, tears streaming down his face, but filled with pride. This moment was a turning point for him. He had proven himself not only with his honesty, but also with his courage and determination. After becoming king, Kwame continued to rule with the same values. He always approached his people with transparency and justice. Under his leadership, the kingdom lived in peace and prosperity. Kwame's story was told for generations, not only in his village, but throughout the entire kingdom. This story always reminded people that honesty and courage are the greatest virtues.